What was that?
That's my sea otter
Oh,
egg timer.
I thought it was
It's
I thought it was an egg timer that had me in it for a second because I just saw my face.
yeah. Hold up, hang on, wait. Oh shit! Shit.
This is gonna be the beginning of the video. Happy holidays, everybody!
Yeah,
Welcome to the Cranked and Ranked holiday special. Or just name it whatever you celebrate. I'm using the term holiday to be all encompassing because I know we have people that listen to us all over the world, some of which celebrate Christmas, some who celebrate other things. And honestly, like, I celebrate Christmas, but we're not religious, and I've never been religious. And so Christmas is like, the word Christ has nothing to do with Christmas for me. It should just be called "Buy My Daughter Presents, Miss." Because that's what it's all about. It's just it's weird because I enjoy the season. Like, I
yeah,
actually have, as I've gotten older, especially, I've started to really enjoy just the overall vibe, and I don't really mind the music anymore. And I have fun decorating like the tree and stuff. And
yeah.
the whole thing, for some reason, it's a really good vibe for me. But there's just no religious connection for me at all. But
I'm the same. You know, I've never hated Christmas. I know that there's like a subset of kids, like when they hit their teen years, where everything has to be edgy. I never I never fell into that. I was never like I fucking hate Christmas. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You got an Xbox for Christmas. Tell
yeah,
me you hated that, dickhead.
I think
But yeah.
I hated Christmas in my 20s, but that I had a depressing 20s, and I just couldn't find anything about it that I liked. And I also hated that so many people kind of do this fake, like, we're being happy and loving everybody for just this time of year. And I'm like, well, why can't you do it the rest of the
Yeah.
fucking year, you asshole?
Yeah. Have some integrity, Jesus Christ.
um So yeah, like I said, this is the holiday special, which means it's going to be like this. It's just kind of whatever. This is really for the fans, the peanut butter platypuses out there, because I think most people, if they're coming to this, why are you not ranking anything? Oh, we are going to rank something, by the way,
Yeah.
but this isn't that kind of episode. That I think this is the kind of episode for those of you out there that just love hanging with us and hearing us chat about whatever. This is the episode. It just happens to be holiday themed. So,
Yes.
and if you look if on the video, I've got my lighting. I set my lights to Christmas, and then this is what happens. It blinks red, green, and yellow. I don't know. Whatever. And
Well,
I've got my Santa hat on. So
it's a vibe. Solid
mm,
vibage going on there.
yeah. Yeah, and I was able to wear. I've never worn this shirt. This is my Metallica whiskey in a jar shirt that
Nice.
my wife and my daughter got me for Father's Day, but it has like the baseball sleeves on it, and so I'm like, oh, it's never cool enough to wear that, but it's actually kind of cool outside. So I was like, shit, I'm gonna bust out that shirt.
Nice.
Um, and it's appropriate because we're reaching the end of the year, and the number one thing I'm looking forward to next year is all Metallica.
Yeah.
That's all I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to other things too, but nowhere near as much as that.
Well, if you want to know what the psychotic fucking weather pattern in Britain has been for the last week,
Mm-hmm.
we've jumped from like lows of -5 back up to like 10 degrees, and this is Celsius as well, which is, just fucking wild. And like 5 days ago, I had some of I had my first real experiences with black ice,
Oh,
and that was fucking scary. I'm not gonna
mm,
lie. Uh, Drove to work I'm not gonna tell you guys where, but the road between my house and my workplace, I hit, hit some roundabouts, and roundabout plus ice equals spin. Um,
Spinabout.
yeah, yeah. And it's not like I was hitting it at any speed. It just so happened that it was a perfect storm of rain and then freeze, and then the ice was like that fucking thick.
Oh
So
shit.
so so everybody was like trundling along at a snail's pace, trying not to spin. And even then, you still lose a little bit of traction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weird thing over here, so right now it's not really cold, but it's a little cold. But the weird thing is that this next weekend, the weekend of Christmas,
Hmm.
it's supposed to be freezing temperatures. Like
Wow.
like I think overnight one night it's in the teens over here, which is like well below freezing.
Yeah.
And I can't remember in my memory a Christmas where it wasn't 70 degrees outside. So
Wow.
so it's I'm really looking forward to that. But once
Hmm.
again, this is also Texas where we could just completely lose power. so so we'll see what
Yeah.
happens with that. But either way, I'm looking forward to the cold temperatures just because Christmas never really feels like Christmas over here because you watch Christmas movies. I feel for people in Australia because it's all like Christmas time and it's fucking like, the desert or whatever.
Yeah.
And they watch all
Yeah.
these movies and it's all like snow and sleigh bells and everyone's in winter coats. And, we're kind of like that where it's, there's
They're
been
on the
so many.
beach barbecuing a turkey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been so, and I know we have some fans in Australia. So good day.
Get out, mate.
um, I want somebody from Australia to teach me because I know that's probably not the way Australians greet each other. So like you have your like well song, you say that to your family and everyone,
What's on?
I would
Yeah.
like to know like the Australian, like what do you actually say to each other when you say hello? Like it's probably something like sup cunts.
Yeah. G'day, cunts. Yeah.
But
Honestly, like the accent thing is so funny because like Britain as a nation, I've brought this up a few times. It's a fraction of the size of Texas alone, right?
mhm,
But like you travel for like a half hour, the accent's already changed in this country. Like it's
yeah.
insane. You go from "what's on," right? Yeah, you, yeah, right on to I was talking to Bill the other day, and he mentioned that he was. And you go further, and you get Scotland, and it's just all these different things.
Man, you were like a man of a thousand voices. Listen to that.
I think if you're British, you kind of have to be. You got to know all the fucking dialects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different ones around Texas, but to me they're so subtle that I'm just like it just sounds like different levels of stupid to me anyway, so whatever.
uh,
But
no, no, I love Texas.
okay, at least somebody does. Um it's last year our holiday special was we ranked our top 10 Christmas songs,
Yes.
which I went back and looked at that list. That still holds up. That's a pretty damn solid list. For those of you who maybe didn't watch it, you can find it on YouTube, but also you can just go if you have Apple Music or Spotify. I think you can search. Can you search Cranked and Ranked Christmas? And you might find the playlist on there because we made a playlist and it's still up.
Yeah.
But this year we're going to be a little more loose with it, like we have been so far. I
Mhm.
wrote down some things to talk about, and then we actually have a ranking. Well, it is a ranking. I don't know why I did this, but it's not our usual ranking. It's kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
But the first thing that like I thought of to talk about when we were like, well, let's do some sort of holiday show was I immediately was trying to think about like the best Christmas gifts I ever got.
Yeah.
And there was only a few that I could think of because to be honest, like there's a certain point where you become a teenager and all of a sudden there's not really anything you want anymore, or at least that's how it was for me. I didn't.
Yeah.
I did. There was nothing. There was no. I didn't want toys anymore. If it was something that was like really expensive, I couldn't get it because my parents couldn't afford it. So I couldn't get like, a Super Nintendo.
Mm.
Because what like the way that it worked for me is that I really wanted an Atari. My parents couldn't afford it. Nintendo came out. My parents bought me an Atari. Super Nintendo came out. My parents bought me a Nintendo. So it's like I was always like one generation behind
Yeah.
on the video games. And so eventually I just went, well, I'll go to my buddy's house and he's got a fucking TurboGrafx 64 or whatever the fuck it was at the time.
Yeah, for me, video games are going to be a big part of that,
Uh-huh.
festive thing because by the time it got to like September, October, it was always whenever I wanted something, my mum would be like, "Well, put it on your Christmas list," because if I was a good kid, which I was really, I wasn't a bad kid.
Mhm.
I would, throughout the year, I'd say, "Hey, look, I really want this," and it was got for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't spoiled per se, but I was just, hey, you did this, you did well, have something. But
Yeah.
I remember, I distinctly remember getting like my earliest Christmas memory that I remember being just fucking awesome was getting my PS2 for the first time
Okay.
because my uncle, who was then currently living in this very room, had a TV set up, and it was quite a big TV. It was chunky because at the time,
Oh
2000s, people still had box TVs.
man, and some of those were so fucking heavy
Oh,
that
insane.
I remember there was one time that I moved to a different apartment and I couldn't physically, I think at that point I didn't really have anyone to help me move shit. I couldn't physically move the TV up 3 flights of stairs.
It
So I
might as well have
literally
been a piano.
we had to, yeah. So we had to hire movers just to come carry the fucking TV up the stairs because it was
Wow.
insanely heavy.
Damn, dude. Oh, yeah, but I just remember here's the thing, right? This is a pretty universal experience that I've had, like hearing other people's stories about the Christmas they got the fabled PS2.
Yeah.
And I remember I would play this PS2 because I found out my uncle had, a Simpsons game. This was Simpsons Hit and Run, which was
Oh,
basically Grand Theft Auto with the Simpsons. So
yeah.
that was a good way for me to like kind of I mean, you could argue that was my first GTA game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember going in and playing it and thinking, "Wow, this is really cool." Because I already had a PS1,
Hmm.
but we were already into the PS2 generation. So I was kind of like you, where I was a generation behind.
Yeah.
Uh, Granted, I was only like 6 years old, so I didn't really give a shit about that. But
Yeah.
anyway, there's this box, and it's the original fat PS2 too, so it's still quite a big box. And I open it up, and I just remember like when your pupils just go "Wah," like in
Oh,
a cartoon,
yeah.
like just holy shit. But then come to find, much like many other people who got a PS2 for Christmas, it didn't come with a memory card, so that had to be bought separately a week later because everybody forgot.
Could you, but you
Because
could still play games on it, right?
you could still play games on it, but you couldn't save your progress. So
Got it. Okay.
what would happen was I would try and get as far into Simpsons Hit and Run as I could, and then it was like, right, time for bed. I was like, damn, I almost got to the Lisa part, and eventually, I got the memory card, and then that game consisted of like my entire first half of 2005.
That is some bullshit right there when a company makes something and then says, "Oh, you can't save your progress unless you buy something else." Like just raise the
Yeah,
price by $30 and put a goddamn memory card in it for Christ's sake. That to me is I hate video. Honestly, video game companies. I don't play video games really, so I have no stake in the game. But I hear you talk about stuff like they just
Yeah.
put out video games that aren't ready to go yet, but they just know that they could just fix things later by having updates to the games, and just like, well, why even put it out at that point?
Well, here's the flip side about that generation compared to this one is that, thankfully for me, during the era that I grew up in, online stuff was still very much in its kind of infancy. It
Yeah,
had yet to really go mainstream. That would happen a few years later with like Halo and Call of Duty and that sort of thing. I was like the first generation of that massive boom um, of like online gaming where it wasn't just like nerdy anymore. Everybody did it.
yeah,
And you were a nerd if you didn't do it. And it's weird how these things like flip flop from being a
yeah.
thing for like basement dwelling nerds to like, hey man, you gotta do this or you're not cool anymore. But I just remember back in the day, this is what I miss from the PlayStation 2. Companies couldn't release something unfinished because people wouldn't stand for it. They'd be like, what the fuck? Well, you can't update this.
Yeah.
It's not online. You can't patch things. So things had to come out good. Otherwise they got naff reviews and didn't sell shit. Oh, hang on. Sorry, it's kind of cold in here. Yeah, sorry, that was kind of gross. Ignore me.
Tis the season.
Tis a season to be sniffly. But yeah, like I said, that's one of the most burned into my mind Christmas mornings.
Yeah. My first memory of a big Christmas present is from the same time for me when I was around 6 years old. I don't know. I don't remember if it was 1983 or 1984, but the thing that I wanted more than anything was there was I don't know what you would call it, a play set for He-Man that was called Snake Mountain.
Oh,
And
dude, yeah.
And Snake Mountain was apparently, I think that was where Skeletor lived, because you could buy, Castle Grayskull, the big playset of Castle, which I had that. And then the next Christmas, I wanted Snake Mountain. And the thing that I loved about it, because it looked kind of cool, it was all purpley and gray and had like a face on the front of it. But on the inside of it, there was a microphone. And it was really I think it was really just attached to a metal coil. And so you'd talk into it and go, hello. And it would sound weird, but it wasn't like an actual microphone. I think it was just reverberating or whatever.
But when you're a kid, you don't care. Yeah.
So I was like, Snake Mountain. And I'm covering my mouth, but it's like,
yeah.
And I just remember that was like a big deal where like, there's pictures of me opening it up and I'm just like, holy crap, Snake fucking Mountain, man.
Yeah.
And those things, like unopened box of Snake Mountain, that shit goes for thousands of dollars today.
Tell you what I loved as a kid was Thunderbirds. I fucking loved Thunderbirds so much.
Which is interesting because isn't that a show from like the 70s or something?
From the 60s.
60s.
It aired on Boomerang and Cartoon Network over here when I was growing up. So it was like, this is the coolest shit ever. There's like actual threat in this show. People could die. When they're puppets, but I was so
they could cut their strings off.
Yeah, but it's. I just remember thinking all of like the ships and stuff, and they're like the special vehicles that would come out of Thunderbird 2 that were just so fucking cool. And honestly, my attic is full of Thunderbird stuff. But I remember, I can't remember if it was a Christmas present or not, but I got a playset. Your Snake Island made me think of Tracy Island, which is the secret island base where all of the Thunderbirds are at.
Oh, okay.
And basically there were all these like switches and things that would like open hatches and little mini Thunderbirds would come out. And I just remember thinking that was like the coolest shit ever. And
I want that stuff might be worth a lot of money. Your Thunderbird stuff.
Yeah,
they're for the most part like toys from my past. I could give a fuck about. If I wouldn't still have Snake Mountain today anyway. I don't, but like I wouldn't hold on to that. But the toy that and it's not just me. My older brother is also pissed off at me because I sold these at one point, like in the 90s. But I
Right.
had the original Tron toys, which
Whoa.
had the light cycles, and the men were all sort of like see-through or whatever kind of action figures. And I
Yeah.
had all of the Tron stuff, and I love Tron. Fucking great movie. It still holds up today, in my opinion. But I got older, and I just remember like a friend of mine was doing a garage sale, and I just brought my Tron toys and I sold them probably for like $5.
Damn, dude.
And now I'm just like, no, I that would be a thing that I wish I still had, because I had the red and the blue light cycles, and all of the figures. They'd have the little frisbees that stick to their backs or whatever, that you could put in their hands.
Yeah.
It was a pretty damn cool. I was really into Tron when that movie came out, which is weird because like I read about it now and they're like, well, that movie apparently was not successful and like in the box office. I'm like, you could have fucking fooled me. That was like any kid
Yeah.
that I knew that knew what they were talking about was into Tron. Shit, man.
I was gonna say, tell the entire synthwave genre that, because the whole visual aesthetic kind of begins there.
Yeah. Um,
um, but while we're on the subject of toys, just before we go into something else, I was gonna
yeah.
say, like, because okay, I'm in the Southwest. I can kind of get away with this because it's, a thing everybody knows around here. I'm just trying very hard not to dox myself. But when I was a kid, and I mean, when I say when I was a kid, I used to go to this place, but it's still there now, and go there from time to time. There is this huge shopping center called Trago Mills, and holy shit, the toys department at that store, at that like shopping center,
Mhm.
used to be the shit when I was a kid. And you would go there and there'd be all these wacky things. It was like 2 levels in the middle of this thing. Apparently
Wow.
during the 80s it had a giant spider that would like descend from the ceiling and come back up. And all this stuff, like, it was wild just to take it all in as a kid. And I remember there was a giant dinosaur at one point too that would roar at you. But there was a corner in this like thing right at the top where they had these like metal figurines that rolled around
Yeah.
on a track of every single train from Thomas the Tank Engine. And I can straight up, I've got a solid 90% of them
Wow.
somewhere in that attic, and they've got to be worth something, because collections like that, every time I would go to Trago Mills, it would be so I wonder who I'm gonna get today. Maybe I get Percy, maybe I get James. Fucking hell, I might even get Gordon. But yeah, like looking back, it's just such a cute little memory, because I remember being like 4 years old and
Yeah.
getting another Thomas toy to like stick on my little train track and set the whole thing up, you know. And you could connect them together, so you'd have like a train, and like, yeah, that's really nice. I just
Yeah.
remembered something nice.
I mean
Yeah.
that one was way. I was already an adult, I think, once Thomas. There's a lot of really big kids stuff that has remained popular that I was too old for. Like by the time Pokemon was a thing, I was way past like giving a shit about any of that stuff.
Hmm.
But a lot of these things became massive, and even my daughter though didn't really catch on. Like we watched some Thomas the Tank Engine,
Yeah.
but she wasn't really that into it. And same thing with like, she's never really been in that. She liked collecting the Pokemon cards, but that was kind of it. But it's weird with her with toys. It's always my daughter has never been anyone until she's a little older now. But when she was a kid, there was never a big thing that she was asking for. And it's weird because I remember that was every year. Every year there was some really huge thing that I wanted, but my daughter's never been that way. And she's always seemed perfectly happy with like the random things I get her. I mean, sometimes I'll get her, like we got like a Wii at one point, and I bought her like an Xbox one year. But she loves those things, but she never comes to me and says, I really want an Xbox more than anything. It's never been like that.
I tell you what, right, before we jump off of this, how could I get to this point without mentioning anything to do with Doctor Who? Right?
Oh,
When Doctor Who came back with Christopher Eccleston and then David Tennant, like that's my era. Like
hmm.
straight up, as soon as I hit like 7 years old or was coming up for it, and that came back. Now bearing in mind they had like a full life-size 60s Dalek in a um
Oh, wow.
bookstore like in Truro, which is our county's only city,
Hmm.
which is a glorified town with a cathedral in it. But I remember we went in there and it was um it was kind of scary, but also kind of fun as a kid. I'd like stand in front of it and it would detect you and it would go exterminate. And it was, yeah. And I was like, whoa, whoa, fuck, don't shoot me. But I didn't really know what Doctor Who was. I just kind of knew that my nan said, oh my God, that's a Dalek. They used to scare me when I was a kid. And
Yeah.
then when the series came back and I saw one, I was like, that's that thing. Oh, and then that was basically my personality until I hit secondary school. Daleks.
Yeah.
I
I,
had
I,
like
I
every Dalek toy you could get.
that's yeah. I wouldn't even occur to me that they had toys for that because over here they didn't. Like you didn't see I
Yeah.
mean, Doctor Who when it was revamped or whatever, it got a little bit popular over here, but not
Hmm.
not that much.
I will say as well, it was such a phenomenon when it came back as well that they brought out this thing called Doctor Who Battles in Time, which was a magazine slash trading card thing, and
Yeah.
everyone in my circle who liked Doctor Who collected this stuff. Got the monthly magazine. I think they made quite a few over the span of like 3 or 4 years.
Hmm.
But I remember like one time I got like an ultra rare card that would like change the image if you like wiggle it around, and you would
Yeah.
fantasize about getting these like rare cards. Again, another thing that's probably worth quite a bit of money in the attic. But like I got so many, and every now and again you'd find one with like unique properties where like one glows in the dark. I remember the
Yeah.
first time I got that one, I was like, "Whoa!" Yeah, it's funny that like when you boil it down, it's just like an image on a piece of card, but
Yeah.
when it it's the collector bug, isn't it? Like it's the same as vinyl.
Yeah, which is funny because like I never like I was trying to think when you were talking about that I was like was there anything that I collected like that where I was super excited about it? And there really wasn't. There was a short period of time where I collected Mad Magazine, like I was really into Mad
Yeah.
Magazine. But even then, I'm pretty sure my collection was probably like 50 magazines. I mean, to a kid, I was probably like, I got so many, but it was, but it wasn't really that big a deal. But it wasn't until music came around that I started getting into collecting and stuff, which actually leads us to like other presents that were like my favorite presents of all time. Now we're skipping forward to 1992, so literally like 30 years ago.
Cool.
30 years ago from this Christmas when I would have been the 14.
14. Yeah.
So and this isn't a thing that I care to have anymore, but I just like the story. So I had gotten in, like you got into rock and roll, you got into metal, and all of a sudden you start branching out to all of these artists that your favorite artists talk about.
Yeah.
And I had finally gotten really into Led Zeppelin.
Oh, cool.
And around in 1992, they released a 4 CD box set of remastered Led
I
Zeppelin
have it.
stuff. It has
Yeah.
like the yellow and orange like cover on it or whatever. And
Yep.
it's like the size of a record, but it's got
Crop circle looking thing.
yeah, it's the size of
Yeah.
a record, but it had 4 CDs inside of it and a booklet or whatever. But I wanted that more than anything. I was just like, so like, oh, this is awesome. It's a box set. It's Led Zeppelin. I'm getting into them. This is fucking great. And
Yeah.
so I asked for it for Christmas. And then my older brother, who's 10 years older than me,
Mm-hmm.
he he was like, we got you, got you a present, and he put it under the tree, and it was literally the same exact size as that box set would have been. And so I
Yeah.
was just like, oh shit, I'm gonna fucking get it. This is so great. So Christmas morning rolls around, and I finally get, my brother's all like, you got to open that one last. So I'm like, finally I get to it, and I fucking open it up, and I open the box, and the box, all of a sudden I'm holding it. I'm like, it's really light. And then I open it up, and I don't see anything. There's like paper in it, and I get the paper out of the way, and there's a CD inside of it. And the CD is the debut single from Rob and Fab, which, if you remember Rob and Fab, that was when Milli Vanilli said, oh no, we can actually sing.
Yeah.
Here's our debut single. And I'm literally like, what the fuck is this? And my brother, like, I think, if I remember right, he tried to be cool about it for a little bit and be like, well, you're not into Rob and Fab. I thought you'd be excited about this. And I'm just like, come on, where's the real present? So finally, like, after stringing me along for a while, my brother just hands me his car keys, and I go out to his trunk, and the fucking Led Zeppelin box set is in the trunk.
Nice.
And so he got a kick out of telling that story for years to come about my face when I saw the Rob and Fab CD. It's like, come on, dude. But that became. Go ahead.
I really wish I could have seen that.
I don't even know if my parents have pictures of it. I hope they do. My dad used to take pictures of everything, so there's got to be some out there somewhere. But that was always a thing. So that in the following year, the thing I wanted more than anything was Metallica Live Shit Binge and Purge, and it was the same sort of thing where I got it as a present on Christmas Eve, because we would go over to my grandparents' house, and we would do like all the surrounding family Christmas was on Christmas Eve, and then just the home Christmas was Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, they had me on a fucking scavenger hunt around the house to find the goddamn Metallica box set, and it was ridiculous. I just remember getting so frustrated. Like, I don't know, I don't know where else to fucking look.
Yeah.
And then finally, they clued me in on it, and I got my Metallica Live Shit Binge and Purge. But it almost made it more memorable than just like, well, here you go, here's the thing that you wanted. But that right there is the best thing I ever got for Christmas, was the Live Shit Binge and Purge box. Because there's, even today, because I had to rebuy it. I told the story about it on the video of this when I bought this from somebody. But yeah, I had the Live Shit Binge and Purge box set for many, many years, and then I let a coworker borrow it, and then that coworker got arrested.
Yeah.
and I never saw it again. But I finally got it again. But even now, like, this is why I think it's the best present I ever got. I'm pointing to it for the people listening in the podcast world, because I have it on my shelf in the back. But even when I opened up this thing and I already knew everything that was in it, it was like fucking Christmas all over again. I'm like, oh my God, how fucking awesome this is.
Yeah.
To me, it's just like the coolest thing ever. Like, all the newer Metallica box sets, they're great. I love them, but nothing compares to that Live Shit Binge and Purge box. I just think it's the fucking coolest thing ever.
Yeah. Also, how could I forget one more before we move on?
Sure.
Unless you've got any more.
I have one more to mention, but it's not a huge story. But we can keep. We're not at we have no rules. There's no rules on the holiday season.
Okay. Well, I can't believe I've gotten this far and not mentioned the drum set.
Oh,
so
the one look behind you, was that Christmas?
Not the beautiful big white kit behind me with 2 kick drums, 6 toms, and a snare. But I do still have. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably like right out of shot. But I still have the floor tom. It's a black floor tom.
Okay.
From a performance percussion drum set.
Yeah.
And that was my first drum kit. I mean, it's been relegated to a table that I keep the laptop on when I'm making metal history videos.
Yeah.
But it's still helping me to this day. But I remember, oh God, you know what? I think it will be 10 years this coming Christmas that I got a drum set, because I'd been playing guitar for like 3 years. But I also had Guitar Hero, where I had the Guitar Hero drum set.
Yeah.
So I found out that, you know, I liked playing the Guitar Hero drum set even more than playing the guitar controller. And I realized I fucking love playing double bass. And I bugged the shit out of everyone in my class because they would always hear this consistent,
Yeah.
like, everywhere I went, because I was really into Slayer at the time as well. But so, you know, that shit got annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I remember saying, hey, look, I know exactly where the drum kit can go. And I think family members were like, "Oh, where are we going to put it?" I was like, "We can put it in this room. Who lives in here? No one, as far as I know." You know, and, after, like, you know, seemingly shooting me down
Yeah.
time and time again, I'd be like, "Hey, look, I just really want a drum kit, okay?" They'd be like, "We'll see," you know. And eventually, you know, it got to the point where it's like, okay, well, we'll bear that in mind. We'll bear that in mind. And then eventually Christmas Day rolls around, and, you know, I get some gifts, you know, and honestly, in the morning, you know, I get some games, get some albums, get some merch, get some socks and some deodorant, you
Yeah.
know, but yeah, as boys get when they turn into men. But I remember thinking that, like, the whole morning, I was like, I'm really happy with everything I got. But then in the afternoon, after everybody had eaten, and had recovered somewhat from a food coma, they said, "Hey, Will, come here a minute." And then they walked me into this room. There's a lot of cool shit happens in this room. And I turn around the corner. I think there's photos of it somewhere. I'll find it. But yeah, I'll walk in, and sat right there is a black 5-piece drum kit, complete with a double pedal. And I took
Nice.
one look at it, and you know, it wasn't a high budget thing,
Yeah.
but it had so many cymbals on it, and I was like, ah, fuck
Yeah.
yeah, I got a fucking drum set. Of course, like, you know, I'd been practicing on my, you know, hands and knees, and things like that. But that made me sound like I was practicing drums in a weird position. Look, it's
That's an
like
odd way to
tapping my
play.
hands. Yeah.
I knew what you meant, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I just remember turning the corner and being like, oh shit, you did it. You fucking did. Ah. But yeah, that was
That's
a
it. It's funny that you mentioned that now because I totally forgot that I got my first guitar as a Christmas present, but it wasn't as big of a deal because
hmm,
like I had begged my parents for a while, and then finally my dad said, "Okay, well, for Christmas, I'm gonna take you to the pawn shop, and so it wasn't a surprise. I went with my dad, and he had to like approve of the price, and he was like,
right.
we're only going to this one pawn shop. We're not, we weren't going to go look around for better deals or better equipment, and
Hmm.
so that particular pawn shop." My first guitar was an Aria Pro 2, which was like light wood color with a white pick board,
Yep.
or pick guard, whatever. And it was heavy as fuck. It
Hmm.
was really heavy. And they didn't have any actual guitar amps. They had a PV keyboard amp. And so we just bought that. I mean, it's still an amp, but it's intended, to hook up, I guess, keys or something else to. It's not a guitar amp per se. And so I just remember, but I didn't care. Like I was just so excited to get that. And then I don't even remember. I think maybe like it just got put next to the tree and I just had to wait and for Christmas Day to like take it and then go play it. But I remember the big thing that the first lesson I learned was that, I had my guitar and I was like, oh, okay, got the cord. I'm gonna plug it into the amp, and I turned it up and it was like bring, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound right. It's because there's no overdrive or anything on it. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
man. So I very quickly had to be like, look, Dad, can we go get like a pedal? And then
Yeah.
I got the I don't know if it was like a fucking Ibanez metal tone or some shit, classic metal pedal or something. Then finally I could start going, which was what I really wanted to do. I wanted to chug on an E string, and it's what I wanted to
Yeah.
do. But so yeah, that was a Christmas thing too. But no, the thing that was funny is when I was thinking about Like, well, what is it? What's the Christmas gift that like I've used the most or has had the most meaning to me? And obviously, the live shit binge and purge one does. But funny enough, the one from recent memory that is so important, just not only in my life but on our podcast, is in 2018, which was the second Christmas me and my wife ever spent together. She
Yeah.
surprised me with a Keurig machine, the
Ah,
coffee machine, because I drink
nice.
coffee every day,
Yeah.
and I hate making coffee so much. And I'm not a coffee snob either. So I was like, and I would always see other people that had Keurigs and be like, you mean you just put that thing in there and you pop it down and it makes fucking coffee? I was just like, I gotta have this. And she bought me one in 2018. And it's just like, I was like, yeah, I've literally used that every day of my life since that day. And I'm like, well, that's the fucking best gift I've ever gotten. Because it's like that's what gets me going in the morning. And for our podcast, when I drink it out of the Cranked and Ranked coffee mug.
That's how I
But
feel about our Tassimo machine. I fucking love it. It's
yeah,
great. Yeah.
well, I don't even know that brand, Tassimo.
That's the one we have over here. It's probably a European variant.
No,
Yeah.
okay. But so with the
Yeah.
pods that you press
Yeah.
down,
Yeah,
yeah.
same thing.
I was real late in the game with that because I think so many people had those before I got it, and so I was just like, "Oh, finally,
Does yours
finally."
also sound like a machine gun when it's heating up the water? Like
Well,
every time I hear that, I think anyone who runs is a
no,
VC.
it is pretty noisy, but
Yeah.
I probably need to upgrade it because I think that at that point it was probably the most basic Keurig in 2018. No telling, they probably have one with a television on it now in 2022.
You can play Doom on it.
Yeah, but and so with Christmas stuff, do you have any other presents you want to talk about? Because Christmas is all about presents.
um, you know, I think now that I look back, I tend to remember the vibe of a Christmas rather than the actual gifts I got.
Yeah,
And one that stands out to me particularly fondly, even though I do remember what I got for this Christmas, and they're all pretty decent, pretty damn cool gifts. But uh, what is it? The one that I remember the most fondly is 2008,
hmm.
and I remember getting a Bop It Extreme.
Oh shit!
I fucking love that thing. I also got a pool slash snooker table in this room, uh,
Like full
which
size?
it was kind of condensed down. It was
Okay,
it's like a pub sized snooker. Sorry, not snooker table pool, but it came with snooker balls,
got it.
so you could you could switch your balls around a little.
How many times can you
uh,
say balls before I start laughing?
yeah. But the thing that now this is a really cool thing because this was my first experience with getting any uh, sweets and chocolate bars from the US because my mum
Oh,
ordered up a box, or on one of these like sites where you can get American candy bundles and things like that,
yeah.
dude. And this thing, I mean, I got one pretty much every year since, but this one box in particular, holy shit, it was huge. And I just remember getting all sorts of like Wonka stuff, all sorts of like Laffy Taffy, every chocolate bar that you saw in 80s movies,
Yeah.
Charleston Chews, Butterfingers and all that. And this was before, American sweets, as far as I know, were a thing in this country.
Hmm.
Um, it was either Nestle or Cadbury up to this point. And
Yeah.
then, I remember just some of the first times I had one of these, I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, just not only having a fucking pool table and a bop it, but I got, games and all of these fucking sweets too. I had a good childhood. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Turn around but I can be self-aware about it.
Yeah, this year for one of I'm saying it quietly because my daughter's room is across from mine. We one of her presents is a box
Oh shit.
of Japanese assorted sweets,
See,
snacks.
that's the new one, I
Yeah,
think.
her
What?
her big gift this year is she got a Oculus, one of
Oh
those
wow.
VR things. Yeah,
Nice.
she really wants that.
The day they put GTA San Andreas in VR, I'm never going outside again. Like, oh, they're gonna be like, "Well, please go to bed," and I'm gonna be there for like the third day in a row. Like, no, I gotta
Yeah.
defend the hood.
Yeah, if they did VR, Guitar Hero Metallica, where you can just be on the
Oh my
stage,
god. Yeah.
that's when I would start playing video games a lot more. Um, but yeah, Christmas over. You're right with the vibe of Christmas because I just remember like Christmas time was the only time that my parents actively played music in the house because
Hmm.
my mom owned records and cassettes and stuff, but I rarely heard her playing things. But
Hmm.
Christmas, you always knew when the Christmas season was really kicking in because I'd wake up and I'd hear like Bing Crosby, singing in the living room, and then I'd smell cookies because my mom would make cookies, and so that brought my brain to like, what are the foods at Christmas that like are the most important to you? And I'd be lying if I didn't say it was just fucking cookies. Like people are just
Yeah.
like, turkey or whatever. I'm like, no, it's fucking cookies.
Yeah.
Um and over the years, the thing that's become the Christmas thing for me. I don't know if you have them over there, but over here, tamales is like
Hmm.
the which is if you don't know, it's like essentially like this stuff called masa, and then you mix it up with like meat, and it becomes like a little I don't know a little tube, and you wrap it in a husk,
Cool.
and then you bake it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure they have something like that or equivalent to that over there, but
Yeah.
I think over here, because I live in Texas, when you have more of a Hispanic population, and I have, at this point, the majority of my family is Hispanic now because
Hmm.
my family is really small. My wife's family is much bigger. And so, the holidays have become very Hispanic, which honestly makes them way more enjoyable for me
Hmm.
because, man, my daughter goes to a predominantly Hispanic junior high school or middle school, and we went to their holiday show where the choir was there and my daughter played piano there and everything. But the thing that I left there thinking, I was talking to my wife, I'm like, that's the first time I wasn't bored as fuck at a Christmas program at a school, because literally every other one is just kids standing there going frosty the summer, but like
Yeah.
the but this year they had like mariachis played a couple songs, and
Yeah.
the choir did songs that I didn't expect them to fucking do. Like they did Happy Christmas, War is Over by John Lennon. They
Oh,
did
nice.
Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. And then they did like Feliz Navidad. And there was a energy to this that I go, man, this is actually festive.
Yeah.
It's like, so I'm like, I told my wife, I go, she's never going to a predominantly white school ever again because I don't want to have to sit through those really boring Christmas shows.
Oh,
Anyway,
dude. I
but
was just gonna say, I'm also like the food aspect of Christmas is up there with the gifts, in my
oh, okay.
opinion.
Yeah.
Any diet plan I have
Yeah.
is a January problem by this point of the game.
It doesn't count. You got to treat
Yeah,
Christmas like a leap year kind of thing. Like that day just gets
yeah,
skipped over. No, that doesn't
yeah,
matter.
exactly. And for me, the highlight of the Christmas food thing, cheese and crackers. I go fucking
Oh,
ham on this shit.
what
Like,
kind of cheese though? Or a variety of cheese?
oh hell yeah. Like we're talking cheese across the board. The only thing I'm not into really is any of the type of cheeses like the blue that has mold in it. To me,
Okay.
there's an evolutionary thing there that says that's mold. No.
I mean,
Right?
technically, cheese is all gone bad anyway, hasn't it?
Well, like that, I remember, what was it like someone once said to me, "Hey," like, and I'm sure they were stoned at the time or some shit, because this is like just a baked thought. I remember they said, "Have you ever considered that cheese is just a loaf of milk?" And I was like, "Never say that again." But like for me, dude, you give me a wheel of brie and a box of Jacob's crackers,
Uh-huh.
that whole thing is fucking gone if you leave me unattended. Do not trust me with cheese and crackers at Christmas. That
Yeah.
is,
You were like, it's like Wallace and Gromit over there with you.
yeah, literally. It's literally like Wallace and Gromit. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
I
porridge today, Gromit.
that's
Tuesday.
actually that's actually not like the Christmas over here like was always yeah, it's always been really boring food wise. But I know I think about it, I was like, there's been cheese, but never like cheese that was interesting. It'd be like, well, here's some crackers and some cheddar or something. And I'm just like, oh, this is not very fun. Give me some Gouda or something,
Yeah.
spice it up a little bit.
Dude, Port Salut. You ever had Port Salut?
I don't think so, actually.
That's good shit, man. Stick it on a
Interesting.
cheddar. Yummy.
um, yeah, the only other thing for me that and I don't get it very often, but I always really enjoy it is eggnog. And I know that's like kind of divisive. Like some people hate eggnog and some people love it. And I something happened as I got older and I had eggnog and I go, this is fucking delicious. Like
I'm gonna raise my hand and say, now this could be because it's more of an American thing.
uh-huh,
Uh, Eggnog's not really a thing over here,
uh-huh.
but I'm intrigued and I want to try it.
I don't even
Um,
know what it is. Like I've never tried to look. It's like it's some sort of milky eggy thing, but it tastes like a
yeah.
dessert to me. It's almost like a
Oh,
Christmas milkshake, but it's
yeah,
but it's got to have egg in it. It's called eggnog. I don't fucking know. I could
yeah,
look it up and find out what it is, but I feel like that would ruin the magic for me because I'm
yeah.
just
No,
like,
if you say it tastes like a dessert, I am down.
oh, it does. To me, it does. But I
Yeah,
mean, who knows?
I'm
But
down.
yeah, and
Nope.
we're gonna reset
Yo, is your hair? Yep.
and then center. Moving on. Um, this will kind of lead us up to our ranking, but
Yeah.
obviously when it comes to Christmas time, like everyone talks about Christmas movies, and
Yes.
I've been really thinking about this because I started to think about when it comes to traditional Christmas movies, like Christmas movies where there's no argument about whether or not it's a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like very many of them. Like
Hmm.
we watched Christmas Vacation with my daughter for the first time, and she seemed to enjoy it, but I was like, I like this, but if we didn't watch it, I wouldn't care.
Hmm.
And same thing goes, like there was another one that like when I was younger and I grew up really loving was called Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
And even then, like I don't have any desire to go watch it, even though I remember enjoying it. But then flash back to just this last weekend, and my daughter's like, "Can we watch Die Hard again?" And I was like,
Nice.
"Yeah," because we showed it to her like maybe 2 years ago at Christmas time, and so we watched it again. And I go, "You know what? I'm going to go into this now this time, and I'm going to decide for myself once and for all: is this a Christmas movie?" And I think that the debate should now be over for the rest of eternity because
Mm-hmm.
it is 100% a Christmas movie. Because
Yes.
like because
Takes
it
place at Christmas.
it takes place at Christmas. There's mentions of Christmas in it. There's Christmas music in it. The idea that it is Christmas is important to the story. Whereas it's like the same thing. It's like, well, can you call Home Alone a Christmas movie if you can't call Die Hard a Christmas movie? Because the majority of the story about Home Alone isn't about Christmas. It's about a kid being home alone and there's burglars. It could happen any time of the year. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if we're going to go with Home Alone, then Die Hard is 100% a Christmas movie. And then now my daughter is like, because my daughter likes action movies.
Yes.
She
She's
really
cool.
she we've shown her like a lot of the ones that we're really into so far. Like she's watched all the John Wick movies and stuff, and she's into that.
She's
But
seen Point Break?
she has not seen Point Break yet. That's one that I'm going to bust
Dude.
out on her. I don't. That's going to happen. But now she's all like, well, I'd like to watch all the Die Hard movies, and I had to talk to her and be like, look, they start off really strong, and it ends really bad. and she's like, okay. And I was like, well, you might like them, but because I'm one of those people that we watched Die Hard 2, and Die Hard 2 to me is really good, but gets a reputation of not being very good. And I'm like, who the fuck decided that? Because
I feel like it suffers from the same kind of treatment that I think Temple of Doom suffers from. It's like it's sandwiched between Die Hard and Die Hard with a Vengeance.
but
And
I don't
people
really
love
like Die Hard with a Vengeance though.
See that's the thing, but like it's one of those like, well, critics liked it, and it's like, yeah, well, critics panned Van Halen when Van Halen came out, and that album's a fucking 10. So
Yeah, critics, schmitics. Movie critiques for the most part are really dumb because they're people. You don't approach every movie like it's fucking Citizen Kane. You just don't do that.
yeah, that
And so, but Die Hard 2 as a movie is really well done, and the story is interesting, and it moves really quickly, and it's fun. It has all of the things that the first Die Hard has, and even though it's like, how could the same shit happen to the same guy twice? It's that kind of thing. But the story is different. It's still like a hijacking, but it's not in another building. They didn't Home Alone to it. It's a different story. But yeah, the Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is not Christmas at all, it doesn't even take place at Christmas. But that one to me always seemed really sort of like not focused enough and kind of silly. Once he's fucking surfing on a truck in the sewer, I'm just like, this got fucking stupid. But I don't know. People love that one, but they shit on Die Hard 2, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Looking at it now, Die Hard 2 is a legit classic, from the '90s at this point. I think anyway. But anyway. But before we get there, the other, because Die Hard is like my Christmas movie, but a very close second is Gremlins. Gremlins is takes place at Christmas. Christmas is very important to the story, but it's technically a horror movie, and that one it's still very 80s, but for some reason that movie has aged really well for me as well. Like I always really enjoy it. So that's so when I come at movies for Christmas, like I don't want to go watch. Do they do the Hallmark Channel kind of shit over there? Is that even a thing?
We used to have Hallmark, and then something changed, and we have a thing called Movies 24, which is like 24/7 TV movies. But this time of year it turns into Christmas 24, which is 24 hours of TV Christmas movies.
And are they all like the really poorly made ones with like TV actors that can't get a job anymore or whatever?
Yeah. And I'm gonna raise my hand and say I have watched many of these with my mum, and it's fun to just watch something that is just so harmlessly down the middle, and it's like I know I'm not gonna get cinematic spectacle out of it, but it's a nice way to it's a nice thing to talk over,
Once again, the people making those movies are not trying to make Citizen Kane. They're just like, we're throwing together this movie in 2 weeks, and that we wrote the story in an afternoon, and that's really it. But over here it's a big deal. Like there's like people love those cheesy, really poorly made Christmas movies, and like I can see the enjoyment in those, but that's not, for some reason, that's not the thing, which is probably the only way that like I sort of don't fit in with Christmas time. Because if somebody says, well, let's watch, White Christmas with Bing Crosby, I'd be like, no, fuck no. I could not make it through that movie. But yeah, so your average Christmas movie, doesn't really, I don't know why it doesn't connect with me
I think it's
at
because
all.
we've been spoilt by Christmas movies with an edge. So now it's
Maybe
kind
that's it.
it could well be that, you want, the festive spirit to be there,
Yeah.
but you want another little thing you can latch onto. And I think that is what films like Die Hard and Home Alone do well, where it's like, it takes place at Christmas and it's important to the story and vibe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
generally speaking, I'm watching Home Alone to watch a bunch of goofy robbers get their asses handed to them by a kid that booby traps his house,
Yeah. That's a good segue right there, don't
Yeah.
you think?
Yes, at the hour mark too, so we can
Sweet.
roughly.
So now for the headlining act at our Christmas holiday
Yeah.
extravaganza, this was an idea from Eddie Sparxx, because I mean, honestly, whenever there's anything kind of new and fun, it comes from Eddie. Like I'm just like, all right, let's rank this band, whatever. He's the one with the ideas.
I'm the one in the corner meditating on what's a good grouping of rhyming words to be in this series.
So he came at me with the idea of, let's rank all of the booby traps from Home Alone 1 and 2. Obviously, we're not going into 3, mostly because I've never seen it. And
anything past 2, let's be real here. It's not Macaulay Culkin. It ain't Home Alone. Sorry.
Anything without Macaulay Culkin is not. If it doesn't have him,
The Good Son is a better Home Alone than Home Alone 3.
that was I saw that movie in the theater, and I remember just being so shocked. Spoiler alert, everybody! Yeah. But Macaulay Culkin dies in the end. But and then what's the other movie where he dies by getting stung by all the bees? My Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler alert, he dies in that movie as well.
Harry and Marv finally got their revenge.
And then, spoiler alert, he made the movie Richie Rich, and then his career died.
Oh,
he seems like a cool dude, though. Like, he has like he used to have a podcast, and I was always, because I think he and I are essentially similar ages. I think I'm a couple years older than him. So I remember seeing Home Alone in the theater, and even though I think I'm a couple years older, I still sort of related to the kid in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved that movie when it came out. I still enjoy it today. But yeah, I guess we this is going to be really loose, because we separately sort of just went and looked at the climax scenes from Home Alone 1 and 2, and all of the different traps and all the different ways the two burglars, Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. Daniel Stern's dead, isn't he? Am I wrong that he died?
Hold up, wait a minute.
Passed. He passed away several years ago, I believe. Did I just kill Daniel Stern and he's not actually dead?
No, he's still alive. He's 65 years old.
Okay, never mind. I don't know why I thought Daniel Stern was dead. What's happening behind you?
Fucking poster just fell off the wall. I think Daniel Stern's pissed.
Sorry, Daniel Stern. I don't know why I thought he was dead.
He's omnipresent.
So yeah. Anyway, so we on our own went and ranked them, and I think we did it the same way. We ranked them by, like, I guess, our cringe level, like our reactions to them, like, what would be to us be the worst. The number one would be the worst one.
I think for me, I kind of initially set out with that, and then I just I ended up looking at it as it's a mixture of what I genuinely find the most painful, but also how likely it would be to kill a motherfucker in real life.
Well, that's I thought about that, because there are some that I have lower down, and I'm like, well, chances are they would be dead, but that's still. But we came up with different totals. I ended with 28.
I ended up with 33 upon closer inspection, but they took place earlier in the movie, so I did not count them
Oh,
as initial like part of the big wave. But there's a chase scene earlier in um 2 where they get kind of fucked up, get
okay.
trip on a pearl necklace and get punched by a chick.
Well, maybe
Um
what the way we'll do this. Do you want to do them separately, or do you want to just start with yours, and then when we get to my number, we just start going by number? Like, how
okay,
do we?
yeah, that can work. Yeah, I like that.
Because that way we can discuss all of them, and maybe we'll kind of weirdly match up in a list of 33 things.
Okay.
So yeah, just do your 33 down to 28, and then we'll start kind of going back and forth.
Okay. So my bottom six, um, they're more just unpleasant than they would be painful. You
Yeah.
know. Uh, First off, number 33, the feathers. You know the
Yeah.
the part where he walks through, he gets like cling film covered in adhesive on his face. Obviously pissed him off. Steps
Which
into a tripwire, and a fan blows feathers on him and
but
humiliates him.
but really, like, what is the thinking that goes into that? Like, oh my god, there's these burglars, I better like humiliate one by getting
Yeah,
feathers stuck to him. It's the most ridiculous waste of time of any
yeah.
trap in the whole movie.
But do you know what left that bruised? His ego.
Yeah, yeah,
Because at that point, why are you dressed like a chicken? That bit always fucking gets me. Like, I know it's so stupid. Why the
yeah,
hell did you take your shoes off? Why the
yeah.
hell are you dressed like a chicken?
Okay,
uh,
yeah.
okay, so 32, the pigeons at the end of 2, where they get the
Oh,
seed thrown on them, and
I
they get
didn't
swarmed.
even I didn't even include that one because I think that's at that point they're done with the abandoned house kind of thing.
Yeah. So, well, I went back and watched one of those like kill count videos where they like
Yeah,
do all of like but they did it for Home Alone traps. So I was like, oh well, this will be a good one to watch to see if I missed any out. So I've
yeah.
got them all here now.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, the pigeons. Judging by the way Daniel Stern or Marv screamed at the end, clearly it was, an unpleasant experience, albeit not very painful, but the it just cracks me up. Number 31, I'm gonna go with the just the tripwire at the top of the stairs, in
Oh,
the house.
okay.
Where they literally just trip on.
Yeah.
Well, Harry does. Marv manages to jump it. But I just thought to myself, do you know what? That's effective, but unless you fall on something particularly funny, it's not going to do that much damage
Well,
on an.
he set the bar way too high with the other traps first, and then that one is just, oh, it's just a tripwire. Okay.
I don't think he expected them to survive that long. Like
Yeah.
some of those traps, man, they're like straight up that would kill someone. Like
Yeah.
the iron to the face. We'll get to that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
holy shit. So next one, similar to the tripwire, we've got slipping on the cars at the bottom of the stairs.
Oh, the
That
micro machines.
yeah.
Yeah.
They slip on them and both in unison wind themselves on the wood floor.
Yeah.
Having experienced that myself, I can attest to the fact that it knocks the wind out of you, but it is not going to kill you unless you really badly bash your head.
Yeah.
Then we've got the paint shelf in the basement in 2, where
He slides into it.
yeah, he like slips on the like grease on the green shit, and then
Yeah.
slides into it, and it covers him in paint. Again, it's similar to the feathers,
But the shelf falls on him.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. That's why it's higher than the feathers, because there
Yeah.
is an element of, oh, ow, yeah, that could potentially hurt. But compared to stuff higher up, I would still take that over the next one, which is the tarantula.
What number is this we're on?
we're on 28 now. We're on 28.
Okay,
So
good. So we're going back
yeah.
and forth. My 28 is also tarantula.
Nice. Yeah.
It's my very last place because I'm not scared of a tarantula. So every time I see that scene, I'm like, well, just knock it off your face. like why does he spend so much time screaming? If you hate him so much, knock it off your face.
Well, so I'm told. I looked at like a behind the scenes thing,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently it was like a. They didn't tell him that it wasn't a venomous type, and they didn't tell him until he had to do that scene that that was going to happen. So,
Oh.
so he gets there, and that scream you see in the movie is real, 100% real, because he is genuinely terrified of this spider. And like they told him it was venomous, but if they took the venom out of the spider, it would die. So it was unethical. And like they had a fake spider, but it didn't look real. So they were
Yeah.
like, "Hey man, you got to take one for the team." And like again, I that has to be the best scream I have ever seen come out
It's
of a grown ass man.
it's pretty great. But yeah, but it's to me it was always anticlimactic at that point because I'm just like, oh, you just put a furry spider on him. I'm like, all right, okay.
uh, it, it's just such a high note as well that he hits,
Yeah.
and like you can see the genuine terror on his face. But yeah, it's unpleasant, but it's not painful. You know,
No.
so yeah,
27.
yeah, yeah.
Now we're matching up on numbers.
Okay, so my 27 is slipping on the pearl necklace in 2, where he breaks apart the pearl necklace
Yeah.
and throws it on the floor, and it's basically the same basic principle as the micro machines, but they're on
I I don't know why I don't
cement.
remember that one. When was that? That's before they get to the house, right? It's earlier in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh,
earlier in
okay.
the movie.
Got it.
They slip on it again, like I say, same basic principle, but this time instead of being in a house on a wooden floor, they're on the cold hard concrete streets of New York.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looked more painful, but again, it would probably just knock the wind slightly more out of you, judging by how many layers they're wearing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I factored in a lot of things here.
I've got some that you've already mentioned because my number 27 is the fucking sticky plastic wrap and the feathers. Which
Okay.
is we've already talked about that, so we can move to 26.
Okay. So 26 is the. I put this here because it's less of a trap and more of just an assault. But, yeah, it's the part where the woman punches Marv in the face. It's like
Oh,
there
okay.
there's and it's not down here because it wouldn't hurt. It's more that it wasn't really a trap. It was just sheer chance.
Yeah.
And Kevin took advantage of, you know, I don't want to say took advantage of a lady. uh, more saw an opportunity and jumped at it because
Yeah.
she punches both of the dudes. But yeah,
So
that, that
26 is the tripwire. So
okay,
that's nothing to me. So now we move on to 25.
cool. Number 25. I have the slip on the front stairs of the house.
Wow,
With
that's
the
my
big lights.
25 also.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. And would I be right in thinking that your 24 is the slip on the back stairs?
No, I included them together. Slippery
Oh,
stairs.
okay.
Because
Well,
because really they're the same thing. I don't know why I put some together and others I'm left apart. I don't know why. No, my 24 is the micro machine slip because they're both
okay.
slips that because with the stairs, I'm like, well, you're slipping on ice, you fall on the stairs. But I all of a sudden was like, well, if you slip and you fall on the micro machines, that hurts falling on those because all the little things in your back. So I put that one above the stairs. But once again, if you hit your head the right way falling downstairs, you could fucking die. So
Yeah.
you know.
I went for the back stairs above the front stairs because there's a pretty clean break fall with Harry's fall, whereas when Marv slips, his ass is hitting every one of those steps. Like bang, 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 bang. Like, you know, a rapid fire machine gun ass punch.
That
um,
brings us to 23, right?
okay, yeah, 23. Oh, sorry. Hold up. I put woman
Hold up.
punch on here twice.
Hey.
Okay, so I'm actually on 22.
Oh, well,
I do
then
apologize.
my 23. Now, this is going to be a weird one, but just knowing what I know from being a male human being, this one doesn't bother me. Number 23, the BB gun to the groin. Like
Hmm.
the layers that they're wearing,
True.
and the for some reason I've always just said, yeah, that would hurt, but he'd have to be aiming specifically to an area to hit a ball. Chances are he probably didn't. He probably just hit a dick, and then it's just like, ow. It's like,
I'm gonna say that that's significantly higher for me, but I am under the assumption that he did luck out and hit a nut shot. So
yeah. But I think I was thinking about when I watch that part. That part never makes me cringe. In fact, I've never been a dude that. It almost seems like, back in the day, I remember you would go see movies, and whenever there'd be a
yeah,
groin punch or a groin kick, all the dudes would go, oh, and I'd be like,
yeah.
well, why? Like, why does that bother you? It's like, yeah, it hurts, but it's almost like you're supposed to do that or you're not a real man. And I'm just like, never really bothered me. I've been kicked, and hit. I get hit in the nuts more than I've ever have in my life because of my dogs, because they leap up without any warning.
Yeah.
Especially my big pit bull. She will just step right on my junk. She doesn't give a shit. She's just like, I'm coming over here now. So, anyway,
Oh man, I will say while we're on the subject of nut shots, I remember one time this was a particularly painful one. Bearing in mind in this country, you would call it soccer, we call it football. I once took a full pelt kick right to my nuts from a hard ass, solid, fully inflated ball. And
yeah.
it hit me, going at quite a speed. And I just remember doubling over and throwing up from just how intense. I remember like I was crying and I cried that hard. I went, I was like, people were like, Jesus, is he okay? I'm amazed that it still works, frankly, because that really fucked me up. But yeah, with that, I'm
22.
gonna go, yeah, 22. My 2022, my 22 is the rope cut, where they're on the rope and Kevin cuts it and they
Nate.
swing, slam into the side of the house, and then land on the snow. With
Yeah.
that, it didn't. I mean, if anything, hitting the wall broke their fall a little bit, because there was a barrier there, bump, and then they go on the floor. If they'd just fallen, they could have broken a leg or something.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of, if somebody had made the logical choice in that movie, the movie would be completely different. Because it's just like,
mhm.
once you realize that he's booby trapped the house, just go home.
Yeah,
It's like, but on top of that, I think this particular Christmas, you're starting to see those memes where people are
yeah.
bringing up the fact that Kevin knew at the end of the movie to call the cops. So why didn't he just call the cops in the beginning? Because then there'd be no fucking movie.
These people.
Yeah, he wanted to torture them.
Yeah,
He's a little piece of shit, that Kevin McAllister.
I've always subscribed to the idea that Home Alone 2 pushed him a little too far, and he became the kid in The Good Son, and The Good Son is actually just Home Alone 3.
That's a good theory. My number 22 is another BB gun one. The BB gun to the forehead. I'm just like, yeah, that would hurt, but I don't know why that doesn't make me react at all. So I just go, okay, BB gun to a forehead. That's fine.
I don't know, like the way it hits him right between the eyes, that could kind of sting. I'd be like, you little shit, point blank. Like I've been shot with BB guns before, and in the right area, they can really sting. But
Yeah,
to me,
I'm probably just setting myself up to get shot with a BB gun, so I'll rethink my ranking at that point.
that we need to make that very clear. That is not an invitation.
No, please don't. Yeah, I mean, if you
Please
see
don't
me in
shoot
public,
my
don't shoot me with a
co-host.
BB gun.
So yeah, where was I?
21.
Okay, 21. The ladder that snaps in two, where Harry is on the ladder and he falls face first.
Yeah,
It's one of those where it's like, that probably shook him up a little bit, but he landed with the ladder. He's probably fine. He's might have a bruise or two. Really hope he didn't land with his like fingers around the ladder, because that would shoot it way up.
it would completely break your fingers.
Yeah, it would. So hence it would be up there probably in the top 10 for me. But he didn't, and that's why he walked away from it relatively okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pass it over to you.
My 21 is similar to the one before, but from part 2, the staple gun to the ass/groin/nose.
Oh man, that one makes me cringe, dude.
Because they don't. I put that above the BB because I'm like, well, that could stick into your skin, and that would be. But like the staple, they're not that long. You just pull them out. Have you never stapled yourself on accident? You just go boop, and you pull it out. The nose one just goes straight over his nose, and all he has to do is go and then move on. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
But it looks so painful the way it inserts itself right through it, man. Like I could understand like maybe intentionally getting a piercing, but it's the way it shoots into his face.
Yeah.
That could have that. Like now I'm poking my nose. I'm thinking, God, that part's bony as shit. What if that went in the bone?
I mean, you make a good point, but my reaction to that is always like, that's not a very good part for me. It doesn't get a reaction from me.
Fair enough. So just above the snapping ladder is my number 20, the slippery ladder in 2, where I mean, I'll admit this one did take the wind out of me.
You're talking about the one where it's like the fire escape ladder?
Yeah, where it's greased up. Yeah, and he slips and then he lands, because that looked like quite a fall.
That's why I put it higher, because I'm like, well, how high up was he? That seems like that would really hurt.
Yeah, well, he actually had to climb on something to reach the ladder, didn't he? So it's like, there are several instances in 2. I mean, I'm just gonna say it right now. The bricks would have killed Marv before he even entered the building.
Yeah,
one would have been enough, let alone like 4. How many times did he get brick to the face?
A lot. There's a lot of bricks.
I mean, by the end of it, I'm amazed he could stand. He's literally talking like, Harry, Harry.
Yeah. My number 20 is the one where there's just a hole in the floor in part 2, and he falls through the hole in the floor. That would probably hurt, but
he lands face first with his arms like that. That's what really got me. I was like, elbows, man. Like, yeah. I'm gonna go with for my number 19. My number 19 is the BB gun to the face.
Okay.
That looks like it'd sting. It's relatively harmless, but for a brief moment you'd be like, ow! And is it like, because the BBs I have in, my BB gun from when I was a teenager, they're like plastic pellets. These look like metal ball bearings.
BB guns are metal ball bearings.
Yeah. See, the ones I've got are plastic ones. I guess in this country we're a little.
Well, I think
on that sort of thing.
I might be wrong, but I think that's the difference between a BB gun and a pellet gun, because I think the pellets are made of different material than a BB. A BB is literally just a little ball bearing, so I think that's the difference.
Right. Yeah.
My number 19. This is kind of where it starts to be ones where I react and go Number 19 is the hot door handle from number 1.
Wow. Okay.
Because so the actual idea of it, to me, that the way it plays out in the movie, that seems extremely painful. But once again, I try to put it into reality and I go, he would not hold on to it that long. It'd be like, oh shit, that's hot, and then you'd walk away.
Yeah.
But he holds on to it long enough for there to be a fucking like Raiders of the Lost Ark on his fucking hand.
Yeah, I'm going by Home Alone universe logic. Like
even fucking what's his name from Raiders of the Lost Ark? He pulls that thing out of a fire and he holds it long enough to go. Ah!
Yeah,
and of course it fucking fucks up your hand. What's that guy's name? I don't remember that. That guy seemed evil as fuck to me. And
yeah,
I don't remember his name, but
I can't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But oh man, for me, the number 18, my number 18 is the snow shovel bonk at the end of Home Alone 1, where the old man Marley.
I didn't include that, but okay.
See that, to me, I put it kind of halfway up because I'm like, it was clearly enough to knock him out, but you're unconscious, so you probably wouldn't know a whole lot about it until you woke up in the squad car later on.
That's the thing it always makes me laugh about movies, is how easily you just hit somebody and they get knocked out. Whereas in real life, you hit yourself pretty hard. You can get knocked out, but all the times that I've hit my head really hard, I've never not been, I've always been cognizant of how fucking much it hurts. Yeah. Whereas like you go to movies and they just go, judo chop, and then people are knocked out.
Yeah, man. Like, was it, I always remember the story of my mum telling me that she went to this rock club and got knocked out in a mosh pit by a fellow headbanger to Rage Against the Machine's Know Your Enemy, and woke up outside with a dude with the dude that knocked her out, like being like, "Oh my god, are you okay? I swear to God, I thought you were dead." Yeah. But yeah. So that's my number 18.
My number 18. This one goes here, and because if it actually worked physically the way that it happens in the movie, it might be really painful. But this is the one that I go, there's no fucking way this would have happened, and that is the toolbox going down the stairs.
Okay, but that's my number 17.
Okay, and then it hits the door with enough power to then keep rolling and move the door into the wall, which at that point the momentum wouldn't have been that good anyway, and it would just been like boop. So like the whole thing, I go, that's really dumb, because it would have just tumbled down the stairs and probably stopped before it even got to the door. But
I will say though, I do love the part where he goes, "That was the sound of a tool chest falling down the stairs."
Yeah.
And they straighten their broken noses out.
It got way more like Looney Tunes in the second movie, didn't it?
Yeah, the second movie, there are several times where it's like Wile E. Coyote is the only motherfucker that would survive this shit.
Yeah.
But dude.
Oh, so 17 is your toolbox.
Toolbox, tool chest falling down the stairs.
My 17, we already talked about the rope swing into the wall. I just don't feel like it would have been very painful. Plus, they should have just let go of the rope and fallen into the snow, and then they would have been,
Yeah.
it wasn't that high up. It's not like it's a 50-story building. It's like 3 stories at the most, and you just, when it comes closer to the ground, you just hop off and you walk your way home.
My big thing now I know this movie was made in 1990, which basically makes it an honorary 80s movie, right? Yeah,
well, it was made in the 80s, so it came out in 90, so it counts.
Yeah. So with that, I think there is a line in Home Alone 1 that just really paints a picture of how different the world is today, and that's always the part where Marv said he's gonna call the cops, and Harry goes, "What, from a treehouse?" And it's like, you can literally call anyone from anywhere now. Yeah. And it's like that line always reminds me, oh yeah, this is a 32-year-old film.
I really think that they should reboot Home Alone, but now make it an R-rated like revenge horror movie, where it's still a little kid, but he goes way overboard with torturing these guys that try to break into the house. And I think that would be, but still call it like Home Alone, colon something. I don't know. Just take the idea, Hollywood, and run with it.
Home Alone. This time it's personal.
Home Alone Judgment Day. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. That would be sick. Macaulay Culkin is the T-1000 and Harry and Marvin trying to get away from him.
Yeah.
See Macaulay Culkin with like razor arms sprinting down the road.
they can put Macaulay Culkin in the movie too, because he's older now. He could just be the old man that lives next door, and then
yeah.
There you go.
You've seen this boy.
Speaking of that, we Die Hard 2, the T-1000 is in Die Hard 2, and he gets killed really early on. But he does have like a really great delivery. His one-line delivery in that is so good, where it's like, I don't remember what it is, but like there's like an ambush part, and like one of the cops, he stops the little moving sidewalk thing. And the guy's trying to, you go, who do you think we are? Or something like that. And he turns around and he goes, a sitting duck. And then he like shoots him in the head. And I'm always just like, because I can't do it justice. His delivery of that line, I'm like, oh, of course he fucking played the T-1000 after that. Because it's just that one line alone. I'm just like, fuck yeah, dude. He rules. Anyway.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry, back from Die Hard to Home Alone.
Yeah. So, where were we? So my number 16?
Yeah, 16.
Cool. So my number 16 is The Fall Through the Floor. Pardon me. Yeah, the Fall Through the Floor as Marv enters the abandoned house. He falls quite a way and he lands on his front.
Yeah.
That, as far as the falls go, that one, I think that's one of the more impactful fall traps, because I'm like, fuck, man, that would gnarl you up.
Yeah.
We've entered the realm of ow.
Yeah. My 16 was the one you already mentioned, when he falls on the ladder to the floor. Because that one for me, I always just imagined that he was still holding on to it. And I was like, oh, that probably really fucking hurt. So I put that one as my number 16.
Yeah. Oh, dude, here we are at arguably the most iconic of the traps.
Okay.
We have the paint cans to the face.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember, reenacting this scene, but with like plushies, as a kid, I'd tie like a pillow to the thing and say, okay, I'm up here, I'm really scared. And then I'd drop it. And then one of my family members would be like, oh, you got me.
So that one, I agree. That one's higher up for me. But once again, I have to suspend disbelief, because your natural reaction would be to duck. And neither one of them ducked. They just went, what's that coming towards my face? It's like he lucked out in getting the stupidest criminals ever. And I guess that's the point. But it's just like I would, if a paint can was coming to my face, I would at least go like this.
Yeah.
for the podcast listeners, put my hand in front of my face. I would do something. Anyway, mine is similar. Because my number 14 is 15 is him sliding on the floor into the paint can shelf, because I just keep thinking of, not only do you get the weight of a shelf filled with paint cans falling on you, the paint cans are all filled with paint. Those things, to me heavy. Seems pretty heavy and painful. But just not to jump over you, but my number oh, no, never mind. No, you can move on to 14, because I'm getting mixed up with all of my writing is really bad. And so I'm just like, what does this say? Oh, okay. I know what that is.
That's like when I go back and read, homework, stored in the attic from when I was like fucking 8 years old. I'm like, someone read this, and had to decipher what the hell these hieroglyphic ass looking drawings were.
Yeah. My wife has such amazing handwriting, and she can write in several different types of handwriting and just completely change it up and look amazing. So much. So when I do my notes, and I just try to quickly throw them away after I'm done, because I'm like, I don't want her to see how horrible my handwriting is.
It's funny. The only thing I can draw, do anything right is drawing Dexter from Dexter's Lab. That is it. That is the only thing I can draw well, let alone write any words. But
I can't draw anything well.
uh, like, man, and anything Hanna-Barbera I can kind of get away with. Everything else is just fucked.
Yeah.
But my number 14 is the cement bag on the rope.
Okay.
So it's similar to the iron, but less pointy and less direct. It would hurt, and it would throw you to the ground, but it's not one of those that makes me cringe the way the iron does.
It could probably break your neck. That's one where he could have died. That's a death right there.
But I'm also of the assumption that if it were to kill him, it would be relatively quick. So,
yeah.
My
number 14 is one that's they might have died, but for some reason it just doesn't really it doesn't hit me hard enough to go higher up than this. And that's at the end of number 2, where he lights the rope on fire and they fall into the street, and then the catapulting paint cans fall on them. Because I'm just like, doesn't really, there's too much to it where I just went, okay, they're falling again. Now there's paint cans again. I'm just like, okay. But they very well could have died from that.
Well, varnish cans.
Oh, okay. All right,
fine. Whole different ball game. Number 1.
You're right. I don't know why I missed that.
That's all right. Mine, that one's not much higher up for me. But my number 13, upon closer inspection, I do think maybe it should have been higher, but the iron to the face is my number 13.
Okay.
Because, I think it's because of the imprint that it leaves. I think if it had directly the pointy end of the iron, if that had just dug its way through his head, that would be like, oh fuck. But it lands flat on his face, so I'm kind of like, that's an ouch, and it could potentially be fatal.
Yeah.
But I feel like it could have been worse.
Yeah, could have. My number 13 is the paint cans down the stairs, which I guess he did paint cans again in the second movie, but they didn't work or something. Was that what happened in the second one where he tried the paint cans again? I don't remember.
That one's kind of a chain reaction that has a lot of extra follow up that we'll get to.
But once again, the paint cans, if it actually happened, it seems like it would hurt. But I feel like they had enough reaction time that
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going off impact and deadliness at this point.
Yeah, I'm overthinking a movie like Home Alone way too much.
I mean, I factored some stuff in, but I also gave it real world consequences. So how painful something would actually be. There's one we're going to talk about where I'd be like, you would just be engulfed in flames, and you would. So. Where was I? Number 12?
12.
Yeah. Bricks to the face is my number 12.
Oh, wow. That one's way high for me.
Yeah. Because it's there's multiple impacts that come from such a height and hit him so hard that in that scene, couple of shots, Marv is sustaining severe brain damage.
Well, yeah, because if somebody just threw a brick at you while standing next to you, that would already hurt. But it's throwing a brick and it's gaining momentum coming down from the top of a building, and then it's like, oh, that's insanely painful.
And that's not even a house the height of the McAllisters in the first one. That is several stories up.
Yeah.
To the point where
he has really good aim too, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's like a little Terminator in himself. Imagine if they reshot that, but it had the red.
Maybe that's what it is. He actually is a robot. His acting was kind of robotic as well. So
I love it. I definitely want to see a hybrid. See, this is the thing. Home Alone Judgment Day needs to happen.
It'll happen. We already talked about my number 12, the concrete bag to the head. That would hurt. But we talked about that. We can move on to 11.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Macaulay Culkin has to hunt down Sean Connor. So it's just two kids Imagine that. That'd be fucking sweet.
Oh, if
Like
Macaulay Culkin was a
it,
kid. Oh, okay.
yeah. When both were kids, can you imagine if there
Yeah.
was a kid Terminator like trying to kill a kid and he has to like go to school with him and it's like a funny sitcom?
They missed out on that. That should have been the thing. It should have been
They sh
Terminator 3 should have been a child Terminator that was like
yeah.
Home Alone.
I that'd be pretty cool.
A little 30 years
Pretty
too late with that idea, but yeah.
yeah. It's okay. CG's getting there.
Yeah.
So number 11, I have the tool bag. The
Hey, we matched
yeah.
up. That's my number 11
Hey,
too.
dude, a wrench falling on your head, let alone many
A
wrenches that
bag of
could
yeah.
necessitate an entire bag. Like,
Good one.
uh,
Yeah, that always
that,
seemed like, well, that's multiple tools falling on your head and probably very heavy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad we're in agreement there.
Yeah.
So my number 10
Uh-huh.
is the kerosene rope, and I am factoring in as much the burning sensation of holding on to something that's on fire while
Yeah.
also falling from a great height and then having slamming into something, slamming into the ground, and then having multiple heavy metal cans land on you.
Yeah.
Paired with the humiliation of just how ridiculous you look by the end of it, I just feel like it's like, I feel like it's a rock bottom moment, you know.
I mean, they're already idiots for going after that kid a second time. Like it's literally just,
yeah, it's like they even tried to avoid it. They even tried to bargain with him at the start. Hey, look, since we're in a hurry, throw the camera. You'll never see us again.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's so funny that like, Joe Pesci is bargaining with like a 12-year-old to please not fuck him up, but he
Yeah.
loses his cool in true Joe Pesci fashion. I also love the fact that they had to tell him to tone down his swearing on set, so like he literally just turned into Yosemite Sam.
Yeah. I think that makes it funnier.
Yeah. So what's your number 10?
Oh, but you already talked about the slippery fire escape ladder
Yep.
for number 2, because that just seemed like it would be a long fall and probably break some legs or something,
Yeah. Slip a disc, that could really hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a teacher back in school who slipped a disc and it was traumatic. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. She's alive.
Oh, okay.
First Daniel Stern and now
Yeah. I'm just going to kill everybody off. That's what the holidays are all about. Let's just start killing people off.
The FBI wants to know your location. So my number 9, I've got the iron bar to the face / fall through the floor / the iron bar falls back on them.
Yeah.
Especially when it collides with their face. That's a whole ass metal bar.
Oh, yeah.
Just smashed into your fucking face. I've been hit in the face with a few things that have been bad enough, let alone the full terminal velocity of a metal bollard smashing into your nose. That. Yeah. That definitely, you could work that into a Cannibal Corpse song, Metal bar disfigurement.
My number 9 is the launch board where he's launched into the air and lands on the car.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that for me was way lower. That's the one where I put the woman punch twice. I was trying to figure out.
Okay. Yeah, because that one, if it actually worked, like flying through the air and landing on a car, like that would
enough to crush the car.
Enough to crush the car.
Yeah,
it's like that seems pretty painful.
Yeah. For me, it left an impression on me, but it I don't know, something about it just seemed a little bit too
cartoony,
realistic. Yeah, too cartoony. So I'd kind of put it in like the 20s zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like that kind of sets up the tone of the traps in the
Yeah.
second one, where it's like, hey, look, the first movie was at least semi-realistic. This
Yeah.
this one, we've just decided to make a Wile E. Coyote cartoon, like so. And I like that about the second one, where it's like this is the same movie but ramped up to a ridiculous level.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part,
um,
I've only seen the second one a few times. And the last time I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is a far inferior movie overall. But it has its moments, I guess.
Yeah, for me, if I'm feeling warm and nostalgic, I'll watch the first movie. If I want to watch ridiculous shit happening, I'll watch the second. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel about those movies. But my number, where am I at?
Number
Here
eight.
we go. Number 8. So this, I had to give this bonus points because, I have to admit I've suffered a few nut shots in my time and have no desire to have any more. I'm not as desensitized to it as you are because I don't have a dog that nails me in my sack everywhere I go. But I'm under the assumption that this guy took a full-blown metal ball bearing to the sack, like right on his nut, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking that at point blank range, a projectile smashing into your testicle, that's got to do some damage, and that's gonna
Probably.
hurt. Like, and even if there are some layers there, that's still quite a boom. So that was kind of my rationale for having the nut shot pretty high up.
Okay.
But the next few, you know what? I'm gonna do something on the fly. Now, hold on, one sec. I
It's a
need
live
to.
edit, folks.
Oh no, hold up. I've just repeated exactly what I tried to change. And this is really distracting. I'm doing this.
There was a
Okay,
part of me that
yeah.
goes, maybe I'll edit this out. And then as soon as you started doing that, I'm like, nope, stays in.
Okay, right. So number 8
My
is BB gun to the nuts. Over to you.
my number eight is that you just talked about a metal pipe swinging down the stairs, and then they fall through the hole in the floor, and then the pipe drops on them again. That's multi-layered, and I applaud him for that one. But
Hmm.
that seems like multi levels of pain. So that one goes at
Hmm.
8.
Cool. It sounded like an amateur version of like a carcass demo, multiple levels of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before they found the thesaurus. Um, where were we? Number 7?
7.
7. Okay, we for me is the staple gun, solely based on the fact that the staple gun manages to score 3 different painful shots.
Yeah.
One directly in his rump, uh, one potentially around dangerously close to his junk, and one that fires directly right face first into his nose, and that's always made me cringe. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. It's just how it enters his fucking nose. That always I hate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, there are some cringier moments.
Yeah. My number 7 is a weird one because this would, I'm pretty sure that this would have been death right here. There's a couple that would have been death. And then my number 7 is when Marv gets electrocuted in the second movie. Because
I'm
there's a
gonna,
difference between being shocked a little
yeah,
bit and then what he was going through. It
yeah,
seemed like
yeah.
that would have been the end of Marv at that point.
Totally. I mean, so much so that it even shows him as a skeleton being
Yeah.
fried. They had to bring in a puppet, but I mean, yeah. I'm gonna say this now. I remember seeing like something. This is why you don't steal copper from like uh electric stations, and it was literally just the aftermath of a guy who tried, and the dude was so badly burned in this photo that his like organs and rib cage were like exposed because his flesh had burned away that severely. Sorry, I know this
Merry
is really
Christmas,
graphic.
everybody.
Like and that's gonna factor as to why I've got it so high up.
Yeah.
But you know, what is it? I remember seeing a sign as a kid, like was it danger, electricity. You will die and it will hurt the whole time you're dying. And it's like, yep, that will make me stay away from that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Don't fuck with electricity.
Nah. Dangerous shit. So on that traumatic note, yeah, Marv was going through some shit with that one.
Yeah.
So now my number 6 and number 5 are virtually interchangeable.
Okay.
Same basic principle, but both have their merits.
Okay.
One has a greater surface area, but one goes deeper. And the way one is shot is significantly more shocking than the other, but I genuinely don't know how I would. I think it's more to do with the way it's framed. So my number 6 is when Marv steps through the window and stands on the Christmas lights and they shatter into his feet.
Yeah.
Like, as someone who as a kid stepped on a Christmas light that didn't shatter but was spiky enough because it was like star shaped, I remember bawling my eyes out like, yeah. So to step on glass ones and have them shatter into your feet.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh
yeah. We'll get to those for me. My number 6 is the blowtorch to the head from the first movie. Because it's once again he just stands there while there's fucking fire on his head. But either way, that seems painful. To have your head on fire. That's very burns to me are like some of the worst shit. I'm a fucking baby.
It burns. Fuck burns, right? If there's one way I don't want to go out, it's burns. Like, fuck that. That is the most excruciating, slow way to fucking go.
No, don't. I don't want to die in a fire or die by drowning. Those seem like the worst ones ever. Like I'll take a paint can to the head or whatever, brick to the head, whatever.
Yeah. I recently watched the movie All Quiet on the Western Front, the remake of that World War I movie, and there is a flamethrower scene in that where I'm like, if you're gonna kill me, just fucking shoot me. You don't have to barbecue me, you sadistic fuck. You know, you have bullets in the chamber. I don't need to be cooked. You're not gonna fucking eat me. Just shoot me. But like, you know, with that, all of the fire ones are the highest in my list. So that being said, I cannot deny how much this makes myself and everyone cringe whenever we see it. It is my number 5, the nail in the foot.
Yeah, that's awful.
Fucked up. That is awful. Like the squelch noise it makes when his foot goes down on it.
Yep.
Followed by the as it goes down the stairs, you know. Sorry, that was way. That's better. Yeah.
So that's also higher up for me. My number 5. It's so funny now that I'm looking at this because it says a lot about me and my own reactions, but because number 5 is he's legitimately dead. Number 5, there's no way he survived, and that is the second blowtorch to the head, where he puts his head out in the toilet with whatever's in it, kerosene or whatever is in it, and then the fucking room explodes.
Yeah.
So it's like, boom, motherfucker is now dead. There's like, there's no surviving that. But that being said, it's number 5 for me.
Well, it's my number 4, so
Okay, all right.
I'm going to elaborate on I both factored in what would the realistic scenario be, and then I worked off of what actually happened in the movie. So
Yeah,
what happened in the movie was he had a Yosemite Sam moment and got blown up and covered in soot, right?
yeah,
And he brushed it off like it was the tar and feather moment from the
yeah,
previous movie, right?
yeah.
It was like, motherfucker, you'd be being scraped off of the fucking wall at this
Yep,
point, you
yep.
know? But I also factored in what would happen if you just dipped a burning appendage into liquid, flammable liquid. You would be engulfed in flames and
Yeah.
burn
So
to life,
if
burn to
nothing
death.
else, his skull would have immediately burned away. Even if there wasn't an
Yeah,
explosion, he would be completely gone. So
yeah, yeah. It's it would be painful either way, but that's really one of, if not the most unrealistic moment in
it,
all of these.
it's funny.
Barring one other.
Something so gruesome can just be painted in such a lighthearted way. It's like
I feel like that's the only way that you would be able to frame that would be funny. Like if Harry was just set ablaze, that's just horrible.
it should have been like in RoboCop. Like he comes out of the toilet and his
Yeah,
head's all fucked up, like the
yeah,
acid guy in RoboCop. Help me!
yeah. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, like,
Um,
but over to you. Number four.
so I think my top four really have to do with just it makes me feel the pain, which you've already talked about the number four, my number four, but it's way higher than you had it, and that is the iron dropping onto his head from the light string, because
Yeah,
it's a fucking metal iron to the face. Like I don't know
the
why
noise
that
it makes as well.
yeah. Because it's like it's not only hitting you, like obviously probably breaking your nose, but also probably hitting your forehead, so you have head trauma with it as well. Like
Yeah,
that just seems from a couple
possibly
floors up.
possibly smashing teeth too. Like,
Yeah, that
and
just seems
teeth hurt like hell.
that seems incredibly painful. So I put it pretty high.
Mm, yeah. For me, so my top three have something very much in common. Well, you could say that about my top four. Number three for me is the blowtorch to the head in the first movie. The way
Yeah,
his scalp, not only is any hope of hair growth gone,
yeah,
right, which is already a personal dear God moment for me.
yeah.
But
If we were the burglars, one of the tortures would be they just cut our hair.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, I don't want to look like my 14-year-old self. Yeah. But for me, like, just the way his scalp is burned away, and it just looks so tender and painful,
Yeah,
after he sticks his head in the snow. It's like, yeah, he could have pulled his head away, but even so, if you got a blowtorch to the face, that would hurt immediately. You'd be like,
yeah,
ow, But because this is basically a cartoon with live actors, it was funnier. So
yeah.
with that, it's not the thing that made me cringe the most, burn
Yeah.
wise.
So we already talked about my number three too, because it just seems very painful, and that is the bricks to the head from the rooftop. Just because
Yeah. Oh,
even if it doesn't kill him,
cool.
that is insane. Getting hit repeatedly with bricks from that high up.
Oh, see, so much of this stuff, when you describe it, it's like when you go back and reminisce with someone about Tom and Jerry, right? When you start actually boiling it down to its like bare essentials, this is just someone completely getting their ass handed to them.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, a lot of it sounds like torture. I almost feel like that should be like the United States should change the way that it tries to get information out of like foreign enemies. Like instead of like waterboarding and things like that, they just open a door and all of a sudden they're in the Home Alone house. It's just like, you will give us the information we require, or you will have to go through this scenario.
Yeah, they're like, dear God, not that, not the nail, not the nail on the stairs.
Yeah.
Oh, um, so number two. Now I remember seeing Home Alone as a kid, and from a young age, I was always wary of fire, and I was more sensible because I knew of the consequences.
Yeah.
I actually paid attention when the fire brigade came to school, unlike some kids. So some kids were like, "Boo! Stop telling us to be safe and simulate a chip pan fire already."
Yeah.
Let's go outside and watch you blow something up. Whereas I was like, so how do I make sure my house doesn't burn down? like, um,
They
but
made it fun.
yeah,
They made it fun over here because you had Smokey the Bear, and it was just like, oh, we have a cute bear that tells us not to burn things down. That doesn't seem very frightening at all.
yeah, over here, I don't know if I've ever brought it up. Do you guys in America have like, public information ads that come up every now and again that are like, hey, don't do this,
Yeah, we had them. I mean, obviously, I don't watch regular TV anymore, so I don't know if they still have them. But back in the
Yeah.
day, they randomly would come up, but not. I've seen some of the ones from England, so no, we they weren't quite like that, but we would have a
Dude,
few.
some of the ones that they show over here, I don't think they'd even fucking get away with now. But I remember the ones that I saw during my childhood, right? I could sit and watch a horror movie and think nothing of it. The moment a fire kills PSA comes on the screen, I'm leaving the room. I'm like,
Yeah,
sorry, I don't want to lay in bed at night thinking thinking there's faulty wiring in the wall that's going to immolate me in my sleep, you know?
yeah,
I just remember there was one that didn't even really have any like fire in it, but I remember it's just a dude crying in a burned out kitchen and it slowly zooms out, right? And it's just like everything around him is blackened and destroyed. And the thing at the end is just like a woman somberly going, "A fire doesn't have to kill you to take your life." And it showed like a burned photo of his family, and he's like the only one left or something. And I just remember thinking,
that's heavy.
"Good God, man!" Like, oh, it gives me the chills to this
Though
day.
probably the big ones here were drunk driving ones. We would have a lot of those where there would be like a mangled body in a car, kind of thing.
We had one about wearing your seatbelt. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it aired for a long time. I think it came out in the 90s, and it was still being shown when I was, into the late 2000s. And
Yeah,
it's basically this, like, these two teenagers get into a car with, their parent. Uh, they're just traveling down the road. The teenager in the back is being cool and doesn't put his seatbelt on, and then suddenly his mother brakes to avoid an accident. He slams into the back of the seat, and her face just smashes into the windscreen and is just obliterated in blood
oh
and
my
everything.
god, that's
And it
that's
was,
that's insane.
yeah, I remember when I saw that, I was like, everyone in the room's jaw just fucking dropped. Like, I'll wear my seatbelt from now on, Mum. I'm sorry. No, I don't want to decapitate you in a car accident.
Yeah, I mean it's still, we just over here, all you got to do is watch that Coldplay video. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, why is he walking backwards? Oh, his girlfriend took her seatbelt off, and they got into a wreck. Have you ever seen that video, that Coldplay video?
Rings a bell. I haven't seen it in a long time though.
I just
But
remember it being it's pretty well done video where like it's all shot in reverse, and it's all
mm,
him singing while walking backwards. And then when it gets to the end of the video, you realize that he gets into a car where his girlfriend is dead, and then the car goes backwards up the cliff. And then at the very end of the video, you see her take her seatbelt off to take her jacket off or something. I don't know,
yeah.
but this is probably the first and only time Coldplay will be mentioned on Ranked and Ranked.
Yeah. Yeah. uh that's the April Fool's episode for this coming year.
Yeah.
Psych, we're just gonna quote Limp Biscuit for 3 hours.
Oh God, don't promise me things that we can't do. I would love to.
Chocolate starfish.
What number did you do? We did three.
I'm I'm on number two now.
Number two. Okay.
Yep. So I've got the door handle burn, and I
Okay.
went just solely based off the pain factor of this. Imagine burning your hand like that, not
Yeah.
pulling it away, and just the intense amount of agony in that concentrated spot. Like,
Yeah.
there is a lot, you need nerves in your hands to feel shit. There are so many just awful, awful things on your body that you can fucking burn. And it just strikes me
Oh,
as one of those, ah,
also, like the inside of your hand would be the worst thing to really burn because it bends so much. Just you can't even
yeah,
stop it. You'd have to put your hand in a cast just to stop it from doing things because you just hit
yeah.
something and all of a sudden the crease in your hand that'd be awful. I should put that higher, really.
There's a, what is it? So, there's another one of those never say that again uh memes that I saw one time where it was like, during the cremation process, there's a moment where the meat is perfectly cooked, and like it's like never bring this up again. Like,
So
but yeah,
my
over to you.
my number two. So this my top two that say a lot about me and the things that I find the most painful. My number two is the Christmas ornaments under the feet.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is about my feet, but that I have very sensitive feet, I think. And so that those things make me cringe so much. People stepping on stuff, things happening to
Yeah.
feet and
Where's this going?
feet and ankles. Like one of the I remember if you seen the A Quiet Place 2, like the second Quiet Place movie.
Nah, no, I haven't.
Well, I'm not. God, I don't want to give this away because it's a fucking shock of a moment. But there is a moment where
I'll probably forget it.
they're running, and one of the kids steps in a fucking bear trap, and you have there's no indication that that's about to happen. There's not like a zoom in like he's going towards a bear trap. It's just they're running, and then on his fucking foot, and I'm just like, oh, holy shit, man! It's like. And that got me because I'm just something about ankles and feet and I'm just like that's the worst. It's just the worst thing.
You ever nail the like real bony bit of your ankle as a kid with a scooter trying to do a trick?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
When I was in, I think I was a freshman in high school, so that would have been about 30 years ago. I was in my room, and sometimes like I would eat dinner in my room and just watch TV, whatever was on, 21 Jump Street, whatever the fuck was. I don't know if that was that time. It's probably later. But anyway, so I'm eating dinner and I have like a glass of juice or something, and I put the glass on my floor and I'm sitting on my bed. And then I decide, oh, I'm going to get up. And I literally get up and I step on the glass, and the glass breaks and goes into my heel, the back of my heel. And that's one of the worst. I still have a scar on the back of my heel from it. And it's like, that's what, and my parents, I literally go hobble into the kitchen where my parents are eating dinner and blood is coming out of my foot. And my dad just like, just put a Band-Aid on it. Why are you screaming?
Jesus Christ.
They did not take me to the doctor. I literally was told to stop, just hold a paper towel on it and then put some Band-Aids on it. And that's what I did.
Boy, you'll be all right.
So I think that might be part of it. Why the feet thing, any feet things just make me go, oh my God, no, thank you.
To be honest, I had a knee dislocation injury when I was about 14.
I love how this is the holiday special. Talking about injuries.
This has been a really morbid episode, hasn't it?
It has, man.
I remember like anything knee related now. Like if I see someone get kneecapped in a movie, I'm like, oh
yeah, knees is pretty bad too.
Whereas prior to said knee injury, I might not have thought anything of it. I'd been like, oh no, his leg's broken. But once it happens to you, I feel like there's like an evolutionary thing in here that learns,
yeah,
very, very bad, owie, owie, ow,
Yeah. It's literally like there's that fucking that outtake from some kind of monster where Lars gets his foot rolled on top of and he goes, "Don't ever do that again, ever." And for that moment, I totally feel for him. I know that feeling where it's like you're in your bare feet and somebody rolls onto your toe. No, I feel for him so much in that little moment.
I feel like there are times where if something hurts enough, you get a free pass to say something kind of like dickish, but like, you know, what is it? Like, I remember like the knee went into like a spasm while I was at home and I didn't have any anesthetic, and I just remember like saying, and I in any other context I would never speak to my family this way, but I was like, just get me something to numb this fucking thing. I'm in so much pain. They were like, we don't have any. So I was like, get some fucking ice, goddammit! Like, and they were like, okay, just yeah.
Why did that immediately make me think of that movie Rookie of the Year where the dude gets hit in the nose and he goes, "Funky butt loving." And then the kid goes, "Did he just say funky butt loving?"
I remember that there was a. You ever seen that clip of that kid where like they're just like screwing around, but then something hurts him or something. I can't remember the lead up to it, but he goes, "Mother trucker, dude, that hurt like a butt cheek on a stick."
Yeah, that's an old vine. Yeah,
that one always got me. I was like, wow.
Mother trucker.
Mother trucker, dude, that hurt like a butt cheek on a stick. It's the butt cheek on a stick that got me. I was like, yeah, you know what? That could be kind of painful. Oh, speaking of like shit going into feet, real quick, one last one.
No, there's another one coming.
There's another. I was only about like, I must have been like 7 years old, and I was out in the garden, and my mum was walking around in flip-flops and didn't account for this like twig that was just homing around on the ground for no apparent reason. Said twig had, I say a twig, it was a stick, had just this massive fucking thorn, just like right out of the side of it. No reason. It was just like, it was where a branch had like cut off, and it was just out there. My mum steps on it, right? Stabs up through the flip-flop and into her foot, pretty deep too. And I just remember seeing that shit and being like, hey,
that is one thing I have to say when it comes to things like that. I would rather have that happen to me than have to watch it happen to my daughter or my wife, because that for some reason is so much worse to me. I'm like, no, put it in my foot. Okay.
Yeah. do it, goddammit. Yeah. But
number one,
my number two.
No, we did number two, didn't we?
I'm just wrapping up my number two. I was just going to say the door handle burn. What was your number two?
Mine was the Christmas ornaments under the feet.
Christmas ornaments in the feet. So here we have number one. And I brought in another reference from another movie to compare it to. And I can only compare what Marv went through when he was electrocuted to that scene in the Green Mile where they don't soak the sponge. And I just thought to myself, that is an awful fate to happen to a person.
Yeah.
And there is nothing separating what happened to Marv and what happened to the guy that gets the dry sponge treatment. And good God, what a I mean, Kevin didn't need to do him like that, man. Fuck.
Honestly, it seems like that's really the only number one that it could be, because like you would die.
And that seems like the most painful and deadly. Both at the same time. Like, of course, it's played out in a cartoonish way, but if it happened like that scene in the Green Mile, you'd be like, holy fuck, Kevin needs to go to juvie. I'm sorry. This kid needs help.
Well, I think that's probably why, because the cartoonish nature of a lot of the pranks or a lot of the booby traps. Yeah. That's why my number one is my number one, even though there's no way it's going to kill you. And that is the nail in the foot,
If you're
because
going off of like cringe, then yeah.
it's not presented in a cartoonish way. It's just him stepping on a nail. And I'm
Yeah.
just
Oh,
so that says a lot about me. I have a problem with feet things, and the nail thing for me is that's no matter how many times I've seen that movie, the nail. I don't almost don't want to watch that part. Like, oh, the fucking nail in the
yeah.
foot, fuck.
Yeah.
But so that's my
The
number
only
one.
nail, yeah. The only nails that should be near your foot are the ones on your toes. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know why I thought that was going to be a dirty joke for a second. I was like, oh no, he's meaning the toenails. He means that.
It shouldn't be in your butt either. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there you go. The only nails out that you should have in your feet are for crucifying Christ.
Nothing like nailing your butt.
Christmas time. We have to talk about they didn't crucify Christ on Christmas. That's when he was born.
Just comes out of the womb on a cross. Poor Mary had to pass that shit. Jesus
Oh
Christ.
God, all the angles and that, probably wood coming off splinters inside of her vagina.
Oh.
Merry Christmas. This has been the most painful episode that we've ever done, but
oh, well,
that's combining multiple holidays all in one.
Yeah.
Just get that out of the way.
Oh, geez, man.
So yeah, that was our ranking of the Home Alone booby traps. If you made it through this whole thing, you are at 100% a peanut butter platypus.
And a fucking trooper, because Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this has been a long one, but hey, it's our holiday special. We're giving you your time's worth. But also it's the last one we're doing. Go ahead.
I just meant they were a trooper in terms of, getting through all of these like pain descriptions, because I feel like there's some squeamish listeners or watchers out there that could potentially have a hard time with this one.
We apologize if that's the case, but
trigger warning, a little late, but
this is the last time we're doing this for 2022, and so we obviously have to thank everybody for giving us another great year at Cranked and Ranked. Not only the viewers at home on YouTube, but also the podcast listeners. You're all very important, and I know it's very cliche, but it's true. Without you guys, there's no reason to do this. So we could probably still talk to each other about music and still have a good time, but I think knowing that there's people out there that give a shit and actually enjoy it, that makes it even more fun. Yeah. So thanks to all of you, and we're just going to keep rocking and rolling in 2023.
Hell yeah. Got a lot of I feel like variety is going to be the spice of life this coming year. Yeah. Like we are not camping out in any zones. We're doing all sorts of series. We're going to shake up the not shake up the format, but shake up the schedule a little bit, so you'll have something new to chew on every time. Yeah, it's all about Cranked and Ranked as a brand now instead of an actual specific thing, because we this year we started doing sidebars, and we've done plenty of other things, but I think overall at this point we've been doing it long enough that the people that listen to us regularly just like listening to us, so it gives us room to grow. And but don't worry, plenty more ranking of discographies and other shit, but that's always going to be at the heart of it.
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Siri, you are no help at all. Every time she comes up,
a musical guest.
she can never help with anything. She just comes on and says, "I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that." Well, then why did you even chime in? That's why I love my watch, because I just say a certain word and my watch decides that I'm talking to it. It's the future, folks. But so we'll be back in 2023 with more shit. And so, obviously, for those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And to everybody, Happy New Year.
Yes.
Hopefully 2023 is good. But we'll be here along with you no matter what. So that's one thing you can count on. You can count on us and the Ninja Turtles.
You can count on us.
that was awesome that you got that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so
We're the turtles. Coming out of our shells, yeah.
I'm glad you finally
Yeah.
got to hear that because that
Oh,
album
yeah.
is great.
I need to save it back to my Spotify. I'm pretty sure it's on Spotify.
Yeah.
So
You're getting the farty mic. It's telling us to wrap it up. So
okay.
before without further ado, at the end of the year by saying that. But before it gets really crappy with his mic farting, we're gonna say goodbye to all of you. Have a good new year. We'll see you in 2023. Thanks for the support, and we're gonna get a very special, almost industrial style outing or closure from Mr. Eddie Sparxx. So as usual, I throw it over to Eddie Sparxx to take us out. You have to hear it on my end when it comes out. It's the most chaotic thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Later.